Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Randy Mills, and this is Sports History Now, where we honor, celebrate, and preserve Kentucky's greatest sports memories, one story at a time. And I'm joined today by Kentucky girls basketball state champion, Kandi Brown Parker. Playing for her legendary father, Coach John Hop Brown, her West Carter Lady Comets captured the 2000 KHSAA state championship, and Kandi was named the Sweet 16 Most Valuable Player. Welcome, Kandi. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Kandi enjoyed just absolutely a phenomenal 5-year varsity career. She scored 2,599 points, grabbed 1,075 rebounds, made 381 three-point field goals, probably could have made even more field goals and scored more points because she did have 634 assists, where she gave up the ball very nicely, and 453 steals. But also, how about making 502 of 595 career high school free throw attempts for an 85% accuracy rate? And in that 5-year span, father and daughter accumulated a record of 152 wins against only 21 losses. And then in the year 2019, Kandi was inducted into the Dawhair's KHSAA Hall of Fame. But prior to all that happening, Kandi was raised in a sports-loving family, and as we go back to where it all began, if you will, let's chat a little bit, Kandi, about the influence of your parents, in growing up in your grade school years and on, of the impact of having 2 older sisters and a younger brother in your household.
Well, both my parents obviously were teachers. My dad was my coach, and I think just being from a small town too, the schools are the hub of everything in your community, and you didn't have a lot of other things to get into besides sports or trouble. So I was a true gym rat. We stayed at the gym. I was always at my sister's practices. We were just, like you said, a very sports loving family. We went from one sport to the next if we weren't at a game or watching a game. So it's just a big part of our lives.
Definitely. How much older were your sisters than you?
Oh,
they both played for your father as well.
Now.
I'm sorry.
I should know this better. They don't want me to tell their age. They're older than me by a few years.
Right.
Now,
but you remember them. Gap. You remember them playing. You remember them playing for your father, of course, and
yes,
kind of. Did that begin to put a competitive spirit into you, do you think?
Absolutely. I remember I was the water girl for my sister's team. So I'll never forget a picture that ran in our local newspaper of me at the end of the bench during one of the games when we were losing. And I was, down here just pouting at the end of the bench. So I think we wanted to win. We're just a very competitive family still to this day. And I'm still feeling that in my life now as a coach's wife, always a nervous wreck.
That's for sure. Did you play some other sports in growing up, Kandi, besides basketball?
I played softball. I was that was not my strong sport. But it was just a little something for me to do outside of basketball season. But there really were not a ton of sports offered to girls, really, when we were growing up. It was, I don't think I'm wrong on this, but basketball, softball, and track, I think, is all we had. Mm-hmm. So I did do those 2 sports, but basketball was my love.
Do you recall a few of the friends you grew up with? Did you have a few of the girls from, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade or on through high school that you actually played with?
Yeah. A lot of us were all so close, and we all went to school together growing up in a small town. But that whole team, I think back to that 2000 championship team, and Shanna Shelton was a teammate of mine that I graduated with, but there was a lot of younger girls, and Megan Gearhart and Megan Hillman and Kayla Jones and Kathy Day. They were all a little younger than me, but we were all very close.
Right, right. And, you mentioned something about your town, and I want you to kind of reflect on how special it was to grow up in Olive Hill and kind of to discuss the basketball tradition. I'm not sure of this, but with Olive Hill High School, was it Jumpin' Joe Harper? No, I may be wrong. I can't remember one of the famous boys coaches at Olive Hill. Nonetheless, I want to ask you about kind of what it means to be in that type of community, have that kind of support, that sort of tradition where probably basketball is the first love of most sports fans in Olive Hill.
Yeah. You're probably thinking of either Jack Foltz or Bert Green.
Yes. Thank you so much. Jack Foltz, sir. Let's make sure we get his name in there. Yeah,
yes.
Had quite a good dynasty, quite a run of outstanding Olive Hill high school teams before consolidation.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's, again, small town, not a lot to do. So it was a very rich basketball town. I'm just now getting into high school sports with my oldest daughter, who is in 8th grade. And we have moved a lot throughout their childhood. So it's allowed me, I think, to have a greater appreciation for the way I grew up in Olive Hill, living in the same house my whole life, and just knowing everybody and feeling connected in a community. It's really special. And I think that sometimes going away can make you appreciate it more, but it was just a really sweet town. And I'm just thankful that I got to grow up there.
I'm sure. I want to go ahead and move into your high school years. Or actually for you, and this is kind of ironic in that your daughter is now an 8th grader. So your 8th grade year, you came into the 8th grade year and had a huge 58-55 overtime victory against your arch rival, the old Ashland Lady Tomcats. So your first opportunity to play in the Sweet 16. Can you kind of recall that game and your enthusiasm after the win against Ashland? Because that was a new thing for Wes Carter, if I'm not mistaken, and how that must have felt to beat Ashland, big bad Ashland, and earn a trip to the Sweet 16. Do you remember that, especially only as an 8th grader?
Yeah, I do remember the nerves of an 8th grader and playing varsity. There were so many girls on that team that I idolized and looked up to. So to get to be on that team and to play with them was really special. But yes, Ashland, also being Ashland, they were the big school, and we were just this tiny little West Carter, what we probably considered ourselves the country school. So it was a big win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you on into your freshman year, that's the only year of your varsity experience that you did not advance beyond the regional championship and into the Sweet 16. But then the story, I think, that is such a big story that we talk about is you had the big run there of 3 consecutive regional championships, so 4 out of 5 years. So 3 more trips to the big show. And on this occasion, as a sophomore, you got your first win in the Sweet 16. So you advanced to the Sweet 16 and you beat Muhlenberg North. That's kind of a big deal because, making it as an 8th grader, huge, so much excitement. You get there, you don't quite win the first game, but now you get a victory and you're there and you're, staying in the hotel and the whole 9 yards. How was that to get that first win and kind of cloud nine, even anything about your sophomore season or the regional championship, but getting there and then having some success?
I think it was a very big stepping stone for us that year to get a win, because I think, and I can only speak for myself, but I think we thought that just getting there was the prize. We never even dreamed of getting there and winning a game, much less winning at all. So I think that sort of opened our eyes to what the possibilities were for us too, that we were capable. And just because we're from a small town doesn't mean that we can't play with these big schools.
Right.
But I think that's also what makes the Kentucky State tournament so special. To get to be the small town playing the big schools, and those wins are so much sweeter.
Yeah, I think that as I reflect on the records of those years, I think that had a great deal to do with the trajectory of success of the program, because I know it must have put a lot more belief level into the players as you moved into that off season and prior to your junior year. Do you feel like, given the expectations and some of the confidence that you had grown, was there a little bit different feeling even, with your father as the coach and coming into junior year and thinking, hey, what can we accomplish? Were you kind of thinking on a higher plane then, do you believe?
Absolutely. I think we came in junior year thinking we could win it. And then leading on into the junior year and going to the state tournament that year, I think the biggest change for us, even though we got beat by Lexington Catholic that year, they went on to win it.
Yes.
And we were able to stay that year, which we had never done before, and watch the championship game. And I really believe that was a game changer for us, to get to watch a team that just beat us barely, to come in and watch them win it all. I think the confidence from that point was going up.
Oh, that is a big time comment there that I agree with. And I want the folks to know that you actually entered that junior year Sweet 16 with a really strong 29-3 record. Ran into a buzzsaw at that time that was Lexington Catholic, but you said close, but let's really set the stage and understand that Lexington Catholic defeated West Carter 46-44 in the first round, despite 5 made 3-point shots from number 41, Kandi Brown. You had a very strong game, and I know your teammates supported extremely well, too, to take a super strong Lexington Catholic down to the wire. Losing that game, the locker room feel, and knowing you were so close, do you kind of recall that a little bit?
I think we were all pretty devastated because we knew we could have won. But I also think it was a hopeful locker room for the future.
How many seniors were on the team in your junior year that year? Did you lose many starters? I don't think so.
No, I'm trying to think. This is awful. This is also making me feel very old. Who did we lose that year? I don't know that we lost a starter that year. And then we came back. Yeah, I don't think we did. I could be wrong on this.
There's no doubt.
But I don't think we did. And we had really our senior year, or my senior year, we really had 6 starters.
Wow.
So there was a couple girls, Kathy Day and Kayla Jones, that would rotate. And either of them could have been a starter. Right.
Well, I think definitely very smart move by your father, I think, to keep the team there that year. As you said, it's the only year that you got to stay and watch the entire Sweet 16. That Saturday night opening ceremony is amazing.
It's amazing.
You're sitting there saying, hey, my gosh, we just lost by 2 points to a team that's playing in the championship game tonight. We can do this. We can get there. I think that was huge. And so one other thing that I wanted to mention, you put a lot of time into your basketball skills and West Carter basketball in the off season. Much of that was through the Kentucky AAU program. And even before your freshman year, which would have been the summer of 1996, you were starting on the varsity team and playing AAU basketball. The reason I know that is that I have proof. Okay, so if everyone can see, this is the Kentucky AAU basketball starting lineup in the summer of 1996.
Look at that.
For West Carter. So we have Carrie Jones and Kandi Brown are the forwards. Jesse Jones is the center. Myra Gearhart and Jennifer Faulkner are the starting guards, and a few really outstanding other players as well. And how did they do then? Well, it looks like Kandi was on pretty well and got some pretty good support from Jesse Jones, because now we'll kind of look at the score of this particular game, where West Carter won 65-61 over a good Monticello team. Kandi knocked down 4 3-pointers, scored 19 points. The only thing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later, and she knows what I'm going to refer to when I say this. The only thing she was disappointed in, now Randy Mills, if he goes 3 of 4 at the free throw line, 75%, he's going to go home and brag about it. But Kandi might have been a little upset that she was 3 of 4 at the free throw line, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later, if I may. So what about some of those fun times playing AAU basketball and the, you know, the summer competitiveness? Do you remember some of that and how that impacted team continuity and unity as you move forward to this state championship season?
Oh, I think those were the best times. AAU summer camps, that
Right.
stuff was where you really bonded with your team, I think. And it's funny, as you were reading that lineup, 2 of those girls in the starting lineup had younger siblings who played on that state championship team.
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting that that bond that we all created, whether they were playing at that point or just coming to watch us play, and then they ended up playing just like I did when my sisters played.
Correct.
But there was so much more opportunity, I think, as I got older compared to when my sisters were playing. And I think my dad learned a lot throughout his career of how to handle girls. And I think
Right.
my oldest sister took a lot of heat that maybe I didn't get as much of.
One person I wanted to give a little shout out to, another pride of Olive Hill young lady. Tell us just a little bit about Marla Gearhart and maybe just something about her refereeing career that I think our listeners would find very interesting.
Yeah.
And how she was your teammate and everything.
Yeah. So Marla, when I was telling you I played as an 8th grader and playing up with these older girls, I mean, she's who we all looked up to. You know, Marla was the best.
Yeah.
So looking up to her throughout my career, and then both of her sisters, Myra, who you mentioned, that was on that roster, and then Megan, who I also played with, who was part of the state championship team. But then Marla has went on to have a very successful refereeing career. It's funny, a funny story, when my husband Jared got to Troy, where we are now, for the head coaching job, the kids and I were still back in South Bend, and he was already here and came to watch a Troy women's game, and looked up, and sure enough, there's Marla Gearhart refereeing a Troy women's game.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she is a really special person and was a big impact for me growing up in basketball.
Yeah,
and her family. Her dad was always around. Obviously, her sisters were a big part of my career. So the Gearharts are a very important part of West Carter girls basketball.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that story with us. And now it is the big senior year. And team goals have to be big time. Are there some regular season highlights? We're going to talk about cruising to the regional championship. I noticed that you defeated East Carter 69-45, smashed them pretty handily in the regional championship game. But during the regular season, it can be a bit of a grind. When your eyes are set on the big prize, but any ups or downs, or of course we will note that you did enter the Sweet 16 with a record of 34-1, so there was only one loss. But how about some of that regular season and kind of keeping the ship on track, so to speak? Because I know it can kind of be a grind.
It is a grind, and it's a lot of games.
Yes,
but I think we all just really loved it. There was never a point where I feel like we were dreading practice or dreading a game. We all really loved it and loved each other. I will say that one loss really, really hurt us all. And that was at a Christmas tournament. And I wish I could remember where the tournament was, but the loss was to Hart County. But that tournament, we had some girls get sick with the stomach virus, which seemed to be a tradition. Every year, somebody got sick with the stomach virus at our Christmas tournaments. Yeah. So that was a tough loss for us. But I also think, had we not lost that game, I don't know that we could have ended up beating Hart County in the state tournament, because they were such a good team.
Yes.
And as you know, it's hard to beat a good team twice. So I do think that was probably a blessing. But man, it would have been fun to have had zero in that loss column.
Before we go right into the Sweet 16, there's one other thing I want you to reminisce about as I think about the small town support, the fervor that surrounds such a good basketball team. In the years, and maybe especially when you came back in this junior year from the championship, can you remember celebrations in the gymnasium, how fun that was, or how fun it was coming back into town after a regional championship, even prior to the state championship?
Yeah, I can remember when my oldest sister, Kim, their team won it in, I think, 89. And I still remember, which I would have just been 7, but I remember the excitement in town for those regional championships, and still not minimizing those, because they are a big deal, and that's a lot of teams to be the top team of. So yeah, I do remember that. And it was such a big part of our community. Our schools were everything. So the excitement was real. For sure.
So now we are going to go into the Sweet 16 and think about a little bit about each of the games. You're, especially as a coach's daughter, I know everybody's mindset's different. You reflect now and think, this isn't what I was thinking when I was in the 8th grade going to the Sweet 16. This isn't how I was feeling when I was a sophomore going to the Sweet 16. But now you come into the Sweet 16 as one of the favorites. Do you recall the preparation just a little bit, a couple of those practices afterwards, but before you get to the big house for the Sweet 16, and kind of the mindset of the girls, the determination? Another thing I wonder, sometimes coaches worry about, well, my girls aren't going to get any sleep, they're in the blah, blah. But I'm thinking maybe y'all were disciplined enough, or can you speak to that a little bit too?
Yeah, I would say my dad was very much a creature of habit, which I think a lot of coaches are. Our practices did not change. I mean, we would prepare, obviously, for a specific team and what they would do, but our practices remained the same. We very much had a routine. He did worry about sleep, for sure. But no, I think we all knew the task at hand, and we weren't there to just enjoy ourselves or to think, oh, we made it. Sure. This year was different, and we were there to try to win it all.
Now, you looked at the bracket going into the Sweet 16. And I know Coach said don't look ahead, but we're going to talk about that bracket a little bit. Your first game was against Harrison County, and you take care of business with a 68-52 victory. How did you feel about that? And did you feel that, hey, now we're getting ready for one of the big steps that we came here for to win the state championship, because the next game was going to be against Hart County. Right. The team's only lost. So you come on through anything you want to say about the Harrison County win and how that win was, and then how did the mindset go? Just boom, hey, Hart County.
Yeah. We played Harrison County and Mac Whitaker and Cameron Whitaker, who ended up playing some all-star stuff with Cameron, who was awesome, and her dad was awesome. They were a great team. We just were not going to back down, and we came out and played a good game and were able to get that win. But yeah, that was a good one. But then on to the next, knowing that we had Hart County. To say that we probably all had some nerves, I would say is definitely something we were dealing with. But I just don't think there was a lot of doubt,
right,
in our minds, because we knew we could win. And I think knowing how well we played them, even in that Christmas tournament,
right, even with some sickness,
got the loss. Right. But I think knowing we did that with some girls that were sick, and we still managed to play them well, I think we felt confident going into that game.
Well, with a 50-44 win over Hart County, how tight was that game, Kandi? Was it pretty much as tight as the score indicates for the most part, or did you get a decent lead?
I would love to go back and watch all those games. I have went back and watched the championship game, but I have not watched film of all of those games leading up. So I think it was pretty tight the whole game.
Right.
They were tough. Again, another girl that I played with, Leslie Logston, on that team. They were a tough team.
Right.
They were just really tough. Yes. And I think that was our toughest game throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, because then you do advance to the Final Four and the semifinals, and of course a huge name in Kentucky high school sports stories is Manual High School out of Louisville. Strong at everything, every sport for many, many years. So it's kind of one of those big, bad Louisville schools. But you did dispatch of them pretty easily. It was 73-55. How did that game play out?
Yeah, I think we did sort of win that one handedly, but gosh, they were so athletic. And I think, like you said, the big bad Louisville schools, you have in your mind, or at least I did, from Eastern Kentucky, when you're playing a Louisville school, you think they must have it all figured out.
Right.
We're not there yet. So getting that win was a big one for us.
There's such a short turnaround time, even from playing Friday against Hart County to Saturday against Manual. Right. But as we know in our state, you play the semifinal game on Saturday morning, and now you're tasked with getting ready for the state championship game. You're a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, but still coach is trying to get that game plan laid out. Can you remember the scheming a little bit, or how did y'all handle that? Like pregame meal and trying to get everything timed up. How did all that work out leading into the championship game?
Gosh, I don't even remember.
I'm testing that memory.
It's a little bit of a blur to me too. I think we were just so focused on what we were trying to accomplish at the end of the day. It was, though it was family, it was business too. And we knew that they were going to be a tough team. Shelby County had size, they had speed, but we felt like we had many weapons too. So, we prepared like we did any other game, but we knew we had a task at hand with these girls.
For sure. Well, as we cut to the chase, it was a 58-50 victory. Kandi scores 19 points, and of course, you're named the most valuable player of the Sweet 16. It's every young person's dream in the state of Kentucky. As a Kentuckian, as a high school sports lover, I mean, we all shot on our backyard court. We all dreamed of making the Sweet 16. And now you've actually done that. You've won the Sweet 16. Your most valuable player. Can you remember a particularly really, really sweet moment that night of the state championship? Maybe you and your dad particularly. I mean, can you kind of just crystallize and remember when I'm friends, say, for example, with Travis Perry and his dad, Ryan. And I think one of the big deals there was Travis wanted it for his dad. I mean, he wanted to win the state championship for Lyon County High School, for the teammates he'd grown up with, but it meant a ton to him because his dad was the coach. So I know it's got to be a pretty cool feeling. Can you kind of share that little father-daughter moment with us, if you would so kindly?
Yeah. He wanted it so bad. I mean, we all did. But sharing that with him was, I mean, super special. Yeah. There was a moment during the game after I'd made a free throw, and I can't remember if that put us up 58-50 at that point. I think it did. I can't remember if that was 56-50. Where I ran over to the sideline and we just hugged, and we knew we had won at that point. So there was a lot of big emotion in that embrace.
Absolutely.
Phew.
I mean, I appreciate that so
good.
much, Kandi. I mean, 18 years worth of hard work and effort and emotion and so much more special. And I just want our audience to know about your father with 514 career wins, a 72% winning percentage. Adding the state championship to his resume was just I know it meant everything to the community and to your family. And of course, he's a Hall of Fame member as well, and just one of the great all-time coaches. And certainly with a career like that, you were recruited to be a full scholarship Division I basketball player. Can you recall making your decision to go to Morehead State?
I think that was really one of the easier decisions I've ever made. I wanted to stay close to home.
Yes.
I definitely had moments after the fact where I thought, should I have tried to go somewhere else? Should I have spread my wings and went somewhere further away? But I really believe that was a blessing for me to stay there because my dad ended up getting sick.
Yes.
And I think, the commute between Morehead and Olive Hill was an easy one, and he could come to my games and I could go home. So it was the perfect decision. It's exactly where I was meant to be.
Well, and certainly, and again, by the numbers, a 4-year starter at Morehead, scoring 1,583 points. Why did I razz her a little bit about only making 3 out of 4 free throws? Well, that's because she was a 92% college free throw shooter, all-time OVC record, the only player ever to lead the OVC in free throw shooting percentage for 4 consecutive years. And at one time in her senior year, she made 41 free throws in a row, 2-time All-OVC selection. She won an award that probably means a lot to her, really, the Steve Hamilton Award in 2004 that honors significant athletic performance, good sportsmanship, and citizenship. And yes, another Hall of Fame induction. In 2015, she was inducted into the Morehead State University Athletics Hall of Fame. What a career. But before we speak just a bit more about your time at Morehead, tell us about your free throw shooting secret, honestly. And I know it's a lot of reps, but you must have had a routine. I've got a couple of grandsons who are trying to become basketball players, and shoot, I might just be able to give them a little hint as to how someone can be a 92% free throw shooter. What an accomplishment.
Oh, well, we just focused a lot on free throw shooting growing up. And to be honest, I have to give a lot of credit to the Elks Hoop Shoot free throw contest.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I did growing up a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if I could say how many of those I did, but I think there was a certain amount of pressure when you're just at these competitions to just shoot free throws.
Right.
And you're in a quiet gym and everybody's just watching you shoot free throws. I think that really was a big factor. And to be in those, obviously I put a lot of practice into free throws prior to those tournaments. But my dad also put a lot of emphasis on free throw shooting and practices. It's funny, last night we just got home from my oldest daughter's last volleyball game, and they turned on Coach Carter, the movie Coach Carter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was a part where he was talking about, how many free throws they had to make before they could leave practice. And it triggered me to think about, back in high school when my dad it was everybody had to shoot 5 free throws. And if you made 5, you called out 5 that you made all 5 of yours. And he would keep a tally, depending on the day, of how many 5s we had to get before we could leave practice. But I think just like you said, it's all about repetition when you're shooting free throws, and sort of the mental aspect of it, I think, is a big part. You've got to kind of block out the noise, if you will, and just focus at what you're trying to do here and make the free throw.
Just one quick thought on that. I think about Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. I know you're aware that you've got 32 in a row and 34 in a row. Did that kind of build in your head a little bit? And you probably, being the competitor, you're like, gosh, dang it, when you missed that 42nd one. But you were kind of aware how that was rolling along, weren't you?
Yeah, it's very ironic, too, that I would get to 41 because that was my number. That was
that's
also
right.
my dad's number. So that's a special number.
For sure.
In our family, it was my siblings' numbers. So that was not intentional to miss at 42, but I think it is sort of special that it stopped at 41.
That's for sure. I want to speak just a little bit about your family, but just one quick opportunity to say anything, highlights or best memories kind of your Morehead State playing days with teammates, or some big wins, but whatever, those 4 years that certainly continue to impact your life today as you earned your undergraduate degree. What would you say? Because you talked about, hey, it was turned out to be the best decision for that 18-year-old girl at the time. It was a wonderful 4 years. How do you reflect upon those years? And, of course, now the fact that you're in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it was a special place, and it felt very much at home there. Everyone made you feel at home. It was very close-knit. I think it was all very special, but when I look back to when my dad got sick and the way our coaching staff handled it and just the community as a whole, it was nice to have that sort of support when I was not at my best.
For sure.
So
Yes,
that makes it very special.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wonderful. One thing, we've used that word ironic a time or two. I noticed that you have 2 older sisters and a younger brother. So that was 3 girls and then a boy. You and Coach Jared Parker have 3 girls first, just as your mom and dad did, and then you have a son.
I know. It's
Isn't
so
that crazy?
It's crazy. And when we got pregnant with our last son, Oliver, we did not find out the gender, which we did find out with the three girls. We thought, this is the last go around. Let's just not find out.
Wow.
Be surprised. So that moment of finding out we got a little boy to complete our family
Absolutely.
was really special. But it is so ironic that it's
truly is
the same as my parents.
One little comment maybe about, well, I think one good thing, certainly Jared is fortunate to have the wife who understands sports, understands the time commitment, knows how much time her father put into being coach. You've also had to move some and all. Do you want to speak just a little bit to that lifestyle and certainly your role? It's big time, as all coaches note. We're only as, speaking on a coach's behalf, we're only as good as the support that we have and raising the family. And of course, you're now having wonderful success with the Troy University program, but you've had to, you're living that lifestyle of that Division I football coach's wife.
Yeah, it is. It is challenging.
Sure.
And the landscape of college sports has changed so much just since Jared's been coaching. It's been fun.
Yes.
But it is a lot. It's a lot. The moves are a lot. And as our kids get older, the moving gets harder.
Yes.
And I just think of all of the paperwork that goes into a move that maybe people don't think about when you move from state to state.
Right.
And taxes and buying a house and selling a house. Unpacking boxes and all the stuff that when we get there, and I will say Jared is very hands-on in all of those things, but he's got to go straight to work. So It's not like we have, a month off to get settled and then
exactly.
You have to go, he goes straight into it. And then we have to dive into the community. We've got to make our house a home. So there's a lot of things that have to happen pretty quickly. But you meet so many people, and we have met so many great people on this journey.
Yes.
That I can't imagine any other life at this point, and it's been really exciting for our kids, but also, like I said, it gets harder with each move because we make friends and we build our little circle and then you have to say goodbye. Right. But with all the moves, I think there's been 10 moves maybe.
Wow.
It's been a lot, and you move from, you might be in a bigger city to then going to a small town, and then it just you don't know what you're really getting into. I'd never been to Troy before we moved here. Yeah. And we love it here. It feels very much like home. It's a small town, sweet southern, cute little town, and you're 2 hours from the beach, which is fun.
Cool. Yeah.
But it is different. It's a lot to have to do in such a short amount of time, because that this is your community. You've got to dive in. So the blessing of having young kids is that you're sort of forced into it when you're trying to sign them up for every sport and every event and activity. So you get to meet a lot of people that way too. Mm-hmm.
Well, I admire you and Jared because of the impact you're having on young people with each and every one of these stops is really incredible. Which brings me to your children, and just as you gave us some free throw advice, I want to ask you, as a parent, and I think are you the mother of 4 aspiring athletes? Honestly. Pretty much.
I think so.
My question is just, how we all get as parents, and I'm that way right now, even as grandparent. How do you kind of coach? I mean, it's kind of a hard question, but how do you kind of, coach them along, encourage their competitive nature, support them, maybe through ups and downs, and because it's kind of tough too, because you think, well, you have played college sports, high school sports. You had the role model of your dad. Obviously, Jared's an extremely high level college football coach. But then when it comes to your children, it's a little, okay, you're supposed to be experts, but there aren't any easy answers, really, are there? But how do you kind of encourage them, and that, hey, this is important, or this isn't the whole world just because you lost this one time, or just things like that? I mean, you're right in the midst of that tough parenting role too.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It is a slippery slope. It's so funny you brought that up, because just the other night, Jared was having a conversation with our oldest daughter, and after she went to bed, he said, I feel like I coach at work, and then I come home and I'm saying the same things to our kids that I'm saying to these guys in the locker room. It's because it really is life, whether it's about sports or grades or whatever it is. And you want to teach them to be their best at whatever it is they're doing. But you also need them to know that life will go on if you lose that game.
Right.
But we're all
not that you and Jared felt that way. You all didn't feel that way, that life was going to go on.
No,
but you're trying to teach them that it will go on.
Yeah, so we can relate. We can relate to their feelings. But it's also, I think, our youngest is the one who struggles with this the most, our little boy. Gosh, he's just like his dad. But he gets so upset when he does anything wrong that he can't move on from it. So he gets so down if something goes wrong. So I think trying to teach them, which is difficult, about the mental aspect of sports has been probably the most challenging part, because it can. I mean, you get in your feelings and you get down on yourself.
That's right.
It's hard to recover from that. But so trying to teach them to have a short memory when it comes to sports and moving on quickly, because there's no time to feel sorry for yourself in that last play or whatever happened prior. You have to move on. Yes,
that is the best advice. I would agree for sure. I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed our conversation. It brings back lots of memories, and
me too.
I just think there's something so special about that small town pride. It's just so cool to have grown up in that community, for sure, Kandi. And
yes, sir.
And I want to thank you so very much. This is Kandi Brown Parker for sharing her insight into this great Kentucky sports story of a small town, Eastern Kentucky community coming together to win the big prize, capturing that 2000 KHSAA Girls Sweet 16 State Championship, the father-daughter combo of John Hop Brown and Kandi Brown Parker. Thank you so very much, Kandi.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I appreciate
indeed.
it.
This has been Randy Mills, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today on Sports History Now, where Kentucky's greatest sports memories live on. Thanks, everybody. And before we close today's show, a big thank you to another of our Sports History Now supporters, Jim Fenwick. The support of friends like Jim helps us continue to bring these episodes of Sports History Now to life.